Ganpati Bappa Moria. Namaste everyone, I'm Namrita and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have been traveling since I was 3 months old, all thanks to my parents. Actually, दोनों को घूमने का काफ़ी शौक है and my dad is a big time traveler and clearly I get my passion for travel from him. Over the years, I have traveled to a lot of places, initially with my parents, but in 2017 when I moved to the UK for my studies, I actually started exploring places on my own. I started taking day trips to places like Oxford, Cambridge, Cotswold, and Cotswold eventually became my most favorite place in the UK. Gradually, this led me to travel to other countries around the UK. That's how my travel journey truly began. Not to brag, but I have now visited over 15 countries. Traveling makes me the happiest. Like, I'm such a happy kid when I'm traveling. But that's not the point of this video. Over the years, I have been getting a lot of questions from my friends and family about travel. So I thought maybe I'll just sit down and share my insights on travel with you guys and also let you know how do I plan my trips. If this is something that interests you, then please keep on watching. But before we begin, there's a chotu request that I want to make. There are so many people who are just watching my videos and not subscribing to my channel. So if you could do that, I would really be grateful. And let me know in the comments below what you think about this video, and if there are any more questions on travel, I would love to help you guys. I'm always in for travel, like I'll motivate you to travel even more. Also share this video with someone who is planning a trip, or if you are planning a trip, let me know if you have any questions, and give this video a big thumbs up if you find this helpful. And now without any further but, let's dive right in. Now, to keep things simple and easy to follow, I have broken down this entire process into 5 simple steps. Step 1 is choosing the destination and finalizing the dates. I start by picking a place from my bucket list or somewhere that truly excites me. I usually plan 2 trips a year. One of them has to be my birthday trip. So after COVID, I have decided to gift myself a birthday trip every year, and that is exactly how I ended up going to Santorini, Turkey, and South Korea. The key is to be very clear about the places that genuinely interest you and also aligns with your budget. I always shortlist 3 to 4 potential travel destinations to keep my options open and also have a little flexibility depending on my budget. Then comes research. Understanding the basics of each location is very important to make a well-informed decision. Once I finalize the country that I really want to visit, I narrow down 3 to 4 specific locations depending on the duration of my trip, like which are the major 3 or 4 locations or cities that I want to visit in that particular country. And finally, I manifest real hard to turn this dream trip into reality. Once my destination is locked, the next thing I do is check the best time of the year to visit that particular place. If I can't travel during the peak season, I opt for shoulder season, and trust me, that's a game changer. Now, what's a shoulder season? It's a sweet spot between the peak season and off season where you get fewer crowds, cheaper prices of hotels and flights, and at the same time you also enjoy great weather. Now, what I really like to do is, if I'm traveling to mountains or cities, I prefer a month before the peak season to get cheaper rates on hotels and flights and at the same time have fewer crowds. On the contrary, if I'm planning for a beach vacation, I will opt for a month after the peak season because that way the water is still warm, less crowd and cheaper rates. So for mountains before the peak season and for beach vacation after the peak season. Then I check for flight prices to find the most affordable week or specific dates during my chosen month. I also go and check weather forecasts to align my travel dates with good weather and budget-friendly flights. Once these 4 factors, that is destination, season, flight prices and weather forecast align, I move on to the next step, that is submitting my holiday application. Once my leave is approved and if I already have a visa, then I immediately book my flights to avoid any further price hikes, and then the official planning of the trip begins. So this was your step number 1 of how I choose my destination and also finalize the travel dates. Step number 2 is planning a rough itinerary and budgeting. Now that my dates are locked, if I have a visa in place and if my tickets are booked, the next step is to plan a rough itinerary and also have a budget estimate in place. Here's how I do it. I start by diving into travel blogs, watching at least 3 to 4 videos and then shortlisting any activities or experiences that I do not want to miss. Next is accommodation and transport check. Since travel and stay take up most of your travel budget, I always like to keep my options open, and hence I research about the places that are cheaper and also have good reviews, and that's how I have a rough idea about what area to stay in and what is the rough budget that would go into accommodation. At the same time, if I'm traveling between cities or countries, I also like to check what are the domestic options for travel, like buses, private transfer, or trains, flights, and have a rough idea about how much would it cost me for intercity travel. And again, try to align it with the weather forecast. Depending on that, I select what days should I stay in each area or city that I would want to visit. Next is budget estimation. Now, depending on these three factors, that is hotel prices, intercity travel cost, and weather, I then go ahead and plan a rough itinerary. Now, to dive deeper into this itinerary, I always like my days to be structured, and here's how I plan each day of the trip. Since I'm obsessed with sunsets, I plan my itinerary backwards. I know it's confusing, but let me explain. I try to find the best sunset spot at the destination and then try to be there before golden hour. Then I plan the activity before the sunset. So if there's any activity or area or any place that I want to visit which is closer to that sunset spot, then I try to do it before the sunset. And then comes the lunch. In the morning, I usually plan activities like visiting palaces or anything that has queues involved. I like to do it in the morning because that way I get lesser crowds and I don't have to waste my time standing in the queues. And that's how I start planning my days backwards. Start with the sunset and then down to sunrise. I would also try to pop up a detailed itinerary of any place that I have recently been to, so you can have a look at my itinerary template and also use it. So that was our step number 2, which is having a rough itinerary and a budget in place. Step number 3 is visa application. If your destination requires a visa, get that sorted as soon as possible. Do not leave it for last minute. Now let me tell you how visas work. So generally there are 2 types of visas for Indian nationals: e-visas or visas on arrival, and standard visa applications. Now e-visas or visas on arrival are quite easy and hassle-free. They do not take a lot of time and the process is very simpler. Countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Nepal, Turkey, etc. allow Indians to get visa online or upon arrival. Standard visa application is where the real work begins. Countries like the UK, USA, Schengen countries, also South Korea require a proper visa application. These must be applied through official visa agents like VFS Global, BLS, or sometimes directly through the host country's embassy. Now, visa applications can be overwhelming, but here's how I make it simple. Start early. Visa processes can take time, so start early, giving it enough time before your travel. Gather documents. Ensure you have all the necessary documents ready before your visa appointment. Book your appointment. Secure your appointment slot well in advance, because slots during peak season can go up like this and then you would have to wait just for getting an appointment slot. Lastly, should you do it yourself or opt for a visa agent? Visa process is quite straightforward, but if you're unsure about it, might as well take help from a trusted visa agent who has a great success visa rate. Also, let me know if you would like a step-by-step visa guide for Schengen countries, the UK, South Korea. I would try to make a detailed version of it so that it would be helpful for you guys. So that was step number 3, visa application. Step number 4 is travel survival kit and the final prep. If I'm traveling abroad, a few essentials can really make a huge difference for a smooth experience. Here's what I always like to sort out before my travel. Currency. A good forex card, an international credit card, or carrying some local currency can make your transactions hassle-free. I have been using Wise for a really long time and it has always been butter smooth. I don't have to do any kitch with the international transactions. I just transfer my GBP to my Wise account and then I either use it in euros or any local currency of the country that I'm visiting. Second is connectivity. I usually grab a local SIM card at the airport depending on the duration of my travel, so it can either be for a week, a month, or for fortnight. But recently I have switched to eSIM apps like Airalo, which have been such a lifesaver. I remember I was in Turkey and the airport did not have free Wi-Fi, so I had to pay for Wi-Fi at the airport, and then I quickly downloaded the eSIM of Turkey in my Airalo app. and instantly I was connected to the internet. Third, essential apps. I always have a certain set of apps downloaded on my phone before I begin my travel. Some of them are for navigation, Google Maps or Waze; for translation and conversion, Google Translate Currency Converter; for transport, Uber, Bolt, depending on the location. For example, if you're traveling to South Asian countries like Thailand, Indonesia, apps like Gojek, Rapido, and Grab can really come handy. At the same time, if you are traveling to South Korea, there's a different set of apps that can really be helpful. Like Google Maps don't work there. They have Kakao T, Kakao Maps, Naver Maps, which are simple and easy to follow. You can research for the apps that works best for that particular country and download it before traveling. Offline maps. I also like to download a Google map of my destination well in advance, so that even if I lose on connectivity, I will still have the map and I'm not getting lost. Sorting these essentials in advance really make a difference. Like, you are quite relaxed and you know what you're getting into, so you're not overwhelmed with the new area or location, and you are quite at peace, and these apps are really life-saving. Now, the final prep. Meanwhile, my visa is getting processed, I fix my itinerary and also sort down the places that I would really be staying at. Also thinking about what are the intercity travel options that I have finalized. And once my visa is approved, I quickly finish all the bookings to avoid any last minute price hikes or unavailability, and then quickly start packing. Here's how I book my stays. Whether it's an Airbnb or a hotel, I generally opt for places which have free cancellations or book now, pay later options, because that way I get a lot of flexibility with my booking options. When I'm in an explorer mode, I really like to stay at hotels because my breakfast is sorted and then I can immediately move on to exploring that place. But for relaxed getaways, I really like to go all out and book fancy stays with great views. For trips with family and friends, I generally opt for Airbnbs because that way you are still connected to each other and can have a great time when you're traveling. Also, I always aim to stay at the center of the city or near the tourist landmarks, because that way I'm saving both my time and travel cost. Once my stay is sorted, I go ahead and make all the travel bookings, and I generally use apps like Skyscanner, Omeo, Trainline, and make all the travel bookings. Activities and experiences. If there's any specific activity that I really want to do, for example, when I was in Turkey, I absolutely wanted to do hot air balloon experience. You can book your experiences in advance because A, it can either get sold out, and B, if you wait till the last minute, they can hike the prices for unnecessary reasons. So I always try to book all of these experiences in advance. But if you want to have regular experiences like dolphin watching, sunset watching, boat tours, all these experiences which happen on a regular basis, you do not have to book them in advance. I like to keep them till the last minute. Depending on what my mood is and how's the weather, I like to go and plan those kind of activities. Packing. Now the fun part begins, or maybe it's stressful for some. But what I like to do is I generally plan all my outfits in advance. Like, I go and check what's the weather of the place, and depending on how much cold or heat I can take, I plan my outfits accordingly. And this way I have always avoided overpacking. And trust me, having some space in your bag is always a win, because you can bring some souvenirs from the place. I pack only travel essentials like toiletries, medicines, and travel accessories. That way I always travel light. And to make packing easier, I always have a travel checklist. That way I'm not forgetting anything. Once bookings are done and bags are packed, we are all set to travel. So that was our step number 4. Step number 5 is insider advice. Now, this step is a game changer. No matter where I'm traveling, whether it's in India or abroad, I always like to phone a friend. It might sound simple, but trust me, this makes a huge difference to your travel experience. Like, imagine if you're traveling to a new place and if you already know someone who has been there, or even better, lives there, what you can do is just speak to them before your travel and get some travel insights. They might tell you some secret spots or give you some extra advice that is not present in the travel vlogs or the videos that you watch online. So calling someone and speaking to them and getting some travel advice is always beneficial. So when I was taking a trip last year to South Korea, I was very nervous because A, it was a new place, and B, not a lot of travel influencers that I follow have been to that place. So I did not have like first-hand experience, and that's when I ended up calling one of my school friends. Samir, if you're watching this, thank you so much. So he helped me a lot, and that really gave me a confidence that okay, I can pull off everything being in this new country. So this step is very important. Do it for yourself and your travel journey is going to be super fun and smooth. And there you go. 5 simple steps of how I plan my trips and now how you can plan your trips hassle-free without any stress. I hope this guide has made your trip planning a bit easier. And before I leave, there's something I want to say heart to heart. Traveling has always taught me so much about life. It has given me so many perspectives on life. It has helped me grow so much as a person. I know everyone's busy at work, have financial issues, but try to save a little bit for yourself. Start by taking day trips and give travel a chance to be a part of your life. And once you start, there's no going back. Like I started traveling on my own and जो लत लग गई है वो अब तक है. Also, a huge thank you to my parents. Mummy Papa, thank you so much for taking me to all the places in India. I have enjoyed all the trips so much, and thank you for giving me those genes of travel. I'm waiting to take you guys on trip as well. So fingers crossed. On that positive note, I would be signing off, and let me know what you think about this video. And if you have watched until now, let me know what is your favorite travel destination. Mine has been Santorini, and let me know what's yours. Stay positive and stay happy. Bye.